So I'm going to continue. We've already finished the PPY trail. Mary's hip was starting to hurt her, so she isn't going to go along with me on the Kualoa Point Trail. It's a half-mile trail, and we'll see how it is.
Here is a map of the half-mile Kualoa Point Trail. The trail started at the same point that the PPY trail, which we had earlier hiked, started. The first stop on the trail was at the Hale Halawai. Hale Halawai translates as a meeting house. This reproduction of a hale, or house, was first built in 2010 by the National Park Service. Due to damage and weathering, they rebuilt it in 2019. Originally, this hale was intended to be a store, or hale kuai, but is now used as a place where the public can participate in cultural demonstrations and interpretive programs.
So here we are going on to the Kualoa Point Trail. It's a half-mile loop. You can see the pools of ʻOheʻo, however it's pronounced. That's the they're calling them the 7 sacred pools, even though there aren't 7 of them and none of them are sacred. And I guess there's also archaeological sites and other things.
The next stop on the trail was a banyan tree.
And the trail starts off with a nice banyan tree. This is much more leisurely than the last one.
Banyan trees were brought to the area by migrant workers from Asia who worked on the sugar plantations here in the late 1800s. The next stop was the Hala Grove.
And here's where they're trying to restore the Hala forest. They've been planting these trees, and you can see they're kind of in all different states and how old they are.
This grove was established to preserve the hala trees, which were important to Hawaiian people for centuries. Originally, the hala tree was the dominant tree in the lowlands here, but is less common today due to invasive species brought to the islands. One of the things that stands out the most for these trees are the fruits, which resemble pineapples. Hala played an important role in the lives of early Hawaiians. The leaves were used for thatching and weaving, and one could create hats, mats, baskets, and canoe sails. The sails made from the hala leaves propelled Polynesians thousands of miles across the ocean, and hala fruit could be eaten in times of famine. A Hale Noa archaeological site was next on the trail.
This over here is an actual archaeological site. They don't say specifically what we're seeing here, but you can't take them. And there's some coconuts up there. And here's another, I guess they used to have one of the huts that they lived in.
Kipahulu started as a coastal village. There are 2 archaeological sites on this trail. The first small ahu, or pile, which was next to the coconut tree, is called a koa, or fish shrine. The next site, shown in this picture, is a hale noa, or sleeping house.
Here's a view of the ocean from the trail. It's up on top. And there's the Pacific.
This view through the bushes looks out to Kuloa Point. This stop is our first view of the pools of ʻOheʻo.
This is ʻOheʻo Gulch. That is apparently one of the sacred pools, I guess. I think I'm going to see if I can go down there.
The view of the pools was blocked by shrubs, so I decided to take a short path to get a better view.
I wouldn't believe you can actually go down to the sacred pools. And they warn you about not going swimming there. There's sharks and bad undertow.
The next three photos show views of ʻOheʻo Gulch going from the ocean towards the mountain. You aren't allowed to go to the bottom of the gulch or to go swimming due to hazards from flash flooding, which can occur because even when it's sunny near sea level, it can be raining up in the mountains. A little further up the trail were additional views of the pools.
We're just looking up past the sacred pools. You can see the kind of waterfalls from there and there. I don't think there's a way to get down there or anything, so that's the best we can do.
From this vantage point, you can get a better view of ʻOheʻo Gulch. You can see in the distance the waterfalls that feed the pools. A less than ideal stop on the trail was next.
Here's kind of the top of the waterfall to the sacred pools. Can't really see much from there though.
This vantage point was unfortunately overgrown with vegetation. The final viewing point of ʻOheʻo Gulch.
Okay, here's up the waterfall closer up. You can't really see that well down to the bottom, but it goes out towards there.
I think that this was the best view of the 7 sacred pools. An interesting thing about the weather here is that although it was the dry season, on this part of Maui, the dry season gets more rain than the wet season, which is one of the reasons that they warn you to look out for the flash flooding. The final stop on the trail was another archaeological site.
Archaeological site on the trail. I think I should have come the reverse direction because the stairs were pretty wicked, even though it's an easy trail. I guess I'm just tired.
These ruins apparently are from a family who suffered from the mahele, a land redistribution proposal by King Kamehameha, which resulted in many Hawaiians losing their land. After we completed our morning hiking, we made our way to our accommodations for the remainder of our stay in Maui, the Aston Maui Hill Resort in Kihei. Rather than return via the Hana Highway, we decided to instead take the Piilani Highway, Hawaii Route 31, which follows the southern coast of Maui. This 38-mile road has a reputation for being dangerous. It's a twisty, up-and-down roller coaster. The road sometimes narrows to a single lane in sharp bends. In some areas, it's just a 1.5-lane bumpy road hugging the sea cliff around blind curves, Fences have been installed on the mountain to prevent rocks from falling onto cars. The hairpin curves are completely blind. Fortunately, there is almost no traffic. Occasionally, the road is closed to traffic due to landslides. The road is mostly paved with a few sections of gravel or dirt without too many holes. A four-wheel drive car is not necessary. Ultimately, we were very happy that we decided to take this drive. The road offered stunning views of both Haleakala as well as the shoreline. We mostly had the road to ourselves. We saw very few people, and those that we did see were mostly locals with huge four-wheel drives. Although it is mostly paved, some of the rougher sections did require us to go down to about 5 miles an hour in order to safely pass it. Overall, it was definitely worth the effort, as we got to see views that very few people who travel to Maui see. The first 10 miles contained some of the roughest parts of the road. Unfortunately, I missed a couple of the turnoffs for some of the sites we wanted to see, such as Charles Lindbergh's grave and the Alelele Falls, because I was concentrating so much on the road. Once we got past some of the more unimproved areas of the road, we were able to find some areas where we could pull off to the side of the road and then take some pictures of the scenery. These photos offer a panoramic view of the area of the highway, which was near the Nu'u Refuge. The next 3-mile stretch brought us to a spot where we could look at the Manawanui Gulch. In addition, the road did get unimproved for a short time.
Here's the part of Maui you don't see.
At this spot, I was able to stop for a few seconds and take some photos of the seacoast. It wasn't until after I started looking at these photos that I realized that one of the things that was in the picture was this sea arch known as the Manawanui Gulch Sea Cave. After driving an additional mile, we witnessed some extraordinary scenery after going around the hairpin curve. Soon the road became less treacherous and multi-laned. We do wish that there were more areas where we could have just stopped and taken pictures, but the only pictures we were able to get were those which Mary was able to take through the window while I was driving. It was a 50-mile drive at this point because we had to take this very circuitous route to get to our accommodations. I was somewhat surprised that there wasn't a more direct route to get to our condo.
And here's our condo at the Aston Maui Hill Resort.
We were very pleased with our accommodations. It had a nice living room area with an attached dining area, nice kitchen area, a master bedroom. The master bedroom did have a lanai off the side of it, and of course there was television available. And there was a second bedroom. Finally, this is one of the 2 bathrooms that was in the condo.